Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. This is Tanush, and today we'll be discussing about the topic of Marana Karaka Sthana, MKS. And if we translate this to English, it means the placement of a planet where the planet becomes highly ineffective and dysfunctional of giving results, right? So we all know that every planet has its own importance, right? So it signifies some things in our life. Apart from that, it also owns one or two important houses in our chart, and it is a signifactor for those houses, right? So every planet has a particular placement where it actually becomes quite dysfunctional, and it is known as Marana Karaka Sthana. So Marana means death. So if we actually translate it literally to English, it means death-like placement of planet, wherein the planet is almost like facing a death-like situation. It's quite ineffective, dysfunctional in giving results, right? So we'll see about that, right? So every planet has a particular placement which we'll be discussing, where it actually loses its significance, where it becomes quite ineffective in giving the results, right? And this is known as the Marana Karaka Sthana. And if the planet is placed there, and if it is debilitated or in conjunction with a malefic or has a very bad malefic aspect, then the condition of that planet actually worsens. So it becomes completely completely weak and is not capable of giving results, or it might even give negative results when its dasha or antardasha comes, if it is debilitated or in conjunction with malefic, right? So why we are discussing this is, if you have the placement of any planet in this Marana Karaka Sthana, right, then you'll have to deal with it. So it's always better to do remedies throughout life for this planet. So there are quite simple remedies which we can do, and small things, if we do consistently over a period of time, they actually give us great results, right? So it's all about consistency. It's all about doing it regularly and with faith, right? So we can do things which will actually improve or strengthen the planet, so that the planet is actually the planet comes out of that situation, death-like situation, and it is capable of giving us results, right? So we'll see what are this condition for each planet. We'll go planet by planet. Now first we'll talk about Sun, because Sun is the king of all the planets. So the Marana Karaka Sthana of Sun is the 12th house. So if you have Sun in the 12th house, so we are talking from Lagna. So Lagna or the ascendant is the reference point for us. So from your Lagna, if Sun is 12 places away, then it is actually in the Marana Karaka Sthana, and it's actually very weak. Now, what things are impacted in the chart? Whatever things Sun signifies. So Sun signifies our ego, and I have seen people with this kind of placement of Sun, especially, they actually lose their ego. So they struggle with this ego. People actually people make fun of them, they insult them, and their ego actually suffers, and they are not able to respond to them, right? And so we'll talk about this later. The other thing is relationship with father, right? So if you have this kind of placement, it implies that either your father's health will be impacted if Sun is sitting in a good sign. Your relationship with the father is good, but the health of father is actually impacted, or the father might travel to some foreign land, or you might travel to foreign land, and hence you will not be able to get that emotional connect with your father, right? Again, we'll have this government issues with stamina. So a lot of things happens when Sun is placed in the 12th house, right? So we have to deal with it, and some simple things which we can do is offering arga, water to Sun on daily basis, and chanting Aditya Hridayam Stotram is one of the powerful remedies. So we need to do this consistently. So once we do this, over a period of time, the particular planet actually gains strength, and then it actually starts giving us the positive result. Now coming to moon, the Marana Karaka Sthana, or the dysfunctional spot for the moon, is the 8th house, right? So why 8th house? Now moon represents our mind, our nourishment, our mother, our emotions, right? Many other things. 8th house is our past karma. 8th house, the signifactor of 8th house is Saturn, and 8th house represents sudden events, sudden transformation, dealing with hidden things, facing the past life karma like we discussed. So many things 8th house represent. And when moon, which is the planet of peace, the planet of nourishment, the planet of emotions, when it comes to the 8th house, it has to deal with all these things, and moon is not at all happy dealing with these kind of things, right? Now on a physical level, if we discuss, relationship with the mother will be impacted. It also implies, if it is in a bad sign, if moon is either debilitated or in a enemy sign, or in conjunction or aspected by malefic, it implies that mother will always have to face a difficult situation. So this kind of people, they don't get that nourishment for the mother for various reasons. Maybe they are staying away from the mother, or due to absence of father, mother has to work extremely hard and provide that financial support to them, and in the process the person is actually not getting that nourishment, that emotional connect with the mother, those sensitive dealings with the mother is absent actually, right? And so when moon is there, moon is not at all happy there, and that is the reason this is known as the Marana Karaka Sthana for moon, right? Now coming to Mars. Now Mars, as we all know, Mars is a soldier. Mars is the commander-in-chief, right? Who wants to fight in the battlefield, who wants to fight, win at the battlefield, who wants to bleed in the battlefield, right? And when Mars comes to the 7th house, this is where Mars has to deal with all these relationship issues, right? So marriage, spouse, relationship, business partnership, and Mars is completely disinterested in dealing with this kind of things, and hence this is known as the Marana Karaka Sthana for Mars, right? So what happens when Mars is in the 7th house? So one is the person is actually Manglik. So we'll discuss about the Manglik part in some other video. But now Mars represents siblings, so the relationship with the siblings is impacted. Mars also represents our stamina, so it implies that all the focus of our energy will be in the 7th house, which means dealing with relationship, dealing with marriage issues or partnership issues or relationship issues, and Mars is engrossed there, and Mars is not at all happy, and hence this spot is known as Marana Karaka Sthana for Mars. Now next, if we come to Mercury. Mercury is a prince, right? So Mercury is prince. Mercury is also the co-signifactor of 10th house along with Saturn. Mercury represents communication, our intelligence, analytical capability. So Mercury is the Karaka for all these things. And when Mercury also comes in the 7th house, again the focus of activities of Mercury will again be relationship, managing the issues in marriage or business partnership. And Mercury is also completely disinterested in all these things, but it has to deal with those things, and hence Mercury becomes dysfunctional. Mercury is not capable of giving the results of what it is Karaka, the things which you discussed, intelligence, analytical capability, communication, right? So all those things, Mercury is the Karaka, and those things are actually impacted. Even our career is also impacted because Mercury is sitting in the 7th house, right? So we need to again deal with it. So how do we deal with it? If we actually refer to the Vedic solutions, then the best solution is chanting of the Vishnu Sahasranam. That is one of the wonderful solution, right? To strengthen your Mercury, so that Mercury becomes, it regains its strength. It comes out of that zone of deep slumber and is capable of giving the results for which it is Karaka. And not only that, it's not only it is surely the Karaka for all those things. It is also Karaka for two important houses in your chart. So it depends upon your your ascendant. Like for Aries ascendant, it is a lot of your third and sixth house, right? For Gemini ascendant, it is a lot of your Lagna and fourth house. So Mercury holds two important portfolios. So along with the things which Mercury is Karaka for, this two important house, the significance of these two important houses is also kind of lost, and hence it is very important to actually deal with things. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about Mars. So Mars is also a soldier, as we discussed, but Mars is Karaka of sixth house, right? So why? Now, sixth house represents our Prarabdha Karma, and sixth house represents enemies, our daily routine. It is Bhavat Bhavam of 10th house. So it also represents the energy which we need to put in our career, fighting with enemies, dealing with obstacles, health issues. And Mars actually likes doing all those things because Mars is a soldier, right? So it's kind of war zone for Mars. And when Mars comes to the seventh house, it actually loses its significance, right? And it's not capable of actually dealing with all those things, and hence we need to strengthen the Mars as well. Now, next, coming to Venus, we all know that Venus is a signifactor of marriage. Venus is a signifactor of relationship, of romance, of all the comforts, right? So all the interior decorations, vehicles, and your sofa, going out, wearing those wonderful garments and jewelries. So Venus is Karaka of all those things. And when Venus actually goes to the sixth house, then Venus now has to deal with all the things which we discussed earlier, which Mars is signifactor of. So Mars is a soldier. Mars takes, Mars feels happy dealing with all the obstacles, all the enemies. But Venus, which is a signifactor of love, relationship, it is a very soft planet. Now Venus has to deal with all these things, obstacles, enemies, right? So here actually Venus becomes dysfunctional. And if you are if your sixth house Venus is debilitated, then it will directly impact on your marriage or your relationship, right? It will surely impact. Now we need to deal with it. So there are a number of solutions which we can discuss, but we need to deal with it, and we need to do those solutions regularly so that the planet gains strength and is capable of actually handling the things which it is Karaka or signifactor of, right? Now next comes the planet Saturn, and the Marana Karaka Sthana for Saturn is the first house or the Lagna, right? So now Saturn is the Karaka of 8th house, Saturn is the Karaka of your 10th house, co-Karaka we can say, or co-signifactor of the 10th house. 8th house, sudden transformation, past life karma. And when it comes to your first house, first house represents our body, our physical body, our personality, and Saturn is not at all happy being there. And a person who has Saturn in the Lagna or in the first house, the person will have to bear a lot of responsibilities in the life. So the person at times feel like is overburdened with all the responsibilities of world, right? So the person will have to take responsibilities irrespective of which dasha is going on, or the person will have to take responsibility. And especially during the Saturn Mahadasha, this I have experienced. During Saturn Mahadasha, this kind of people will constantly be involved in dealing with different kind of situations, and obviously that will actually make them very intelligent. It will make them independent. It will make them capable of handling situation. This kind of people actually can guide others. But when the dasha comes, they'll have to actually taken lot of responsibility, right? So the first house or the Lagna is the Marana Karaka Sthana for Saturn. Now coming to Rahu, the Marana Karaka Sthana for Rahu is what? Any guesses? It is the ninth house, right? So why ninth house? We all know ninth house is the house of Dharma. Ninth house is the house of teachers. Ninth house, represents many things: spirituality, our higher education. And Rahu is a materialistic planet. It doesn't like to be monitored, or doesn't like to follow orders. It wants to break that those boundaries, and it's never satisfied with how much ever we have achieved, right? So it's an unsatisfied planet. It always wants more. And ninth house is the house of Dharma, where we actually try to learn the higher principles of what is life, what is death, what is this transformation, what happens after death, what is rebirth, laws of karma, who is God, and everything. So Rahu in the ninth house is actually kind of dissatisfied. It's irritated, basically. It's irritated, and how it expresses itself is so if somehow or other, if a person is interested in following dharma and Rahu is in the ninth house, then these people, they kind of invent their own ways, right? So we have many examples wherein people, they pick up something from, say, Vedas, or something from Bible, or some other authentic texts, and then they manipulate that as per their comfort level, and then they establish a process, and many people start following that, and they get cheated in the process. But Rahu signifies that. Rahu signifies cheating in the name of religion, right? So all those things are impacted. Now coming to Jupiter. Jupiter is one of the most important planet for everyone, because Jupiter is a Karaka of many important houses. It's a Karaka for second house, fifth house, seventh house, ninth house, 11th house, right? So many important houses Jupiter is Karaka. It's Karaka of family, it's Karaka of higher education, higher learning, philosophy, children, marriage, n number of things, finance, growth, optimism, right? So Jupiter is Karaka of all these things. And the Marana Karaka Sthana for Jupiter is the third house, the house where we actually taken initiatives, wherein we have to put in a lot of effort. It's a house of efforts, right? So here Jupiter is not at all happy, because Jupiter represents things which are exactly opposite to the significance of third house, and Jupiter is not happy being there, because it has to deal with all the nonsense of this material world, right? And hence it is known as the Marana Karaka Sthana for Jupiter. So Jupiter becomes highly ineffective being in the third house, and we need to strengthen Jupiter by following different kind of remedies, right? Now if Jupiter is debilitated in your third house, for example, if you're Scorpio ascendant or Vrishik Lagna, then your 10th house is Makar Rashi or Capricorn, and Jupiter becomes debilitated there. So if Jupiter is in your third house debilitated, and if any malefic is aspecting, then Jupiter is terribly affected, and you need to do things which strengthen Jupiter, which actually gives strength to Jupiter to come out of that state of sleep, that state of ineffectiveness or Marana Karaka situation, come out and become capable of giving results, right? So we need to do different remedies. We can do Vedic remedies, because they are very, very effective. So if you have any planet in this Marana Karaka Sthana, so you can look at your chart, then be conscious of that, and you can actually check if that particular planet for which it is a signifactor, we have already discussed, right? For example, Jupiter, higher learning, higher education, children, marriage, right? So you can check if that planet is actually in the Marana Karaka Sthana, then you can see all those things which it signifies getting impacted in your chart. So you'll be struggling on those fronts. So be conscious, check your chart, and consciously do remedies for the planet. Keep doing it throughout the life. because due to our past karma, unfortunately the planet has come into that spot when we have taken birth, right? So keep doing that, and eventually, gradually and eventually, the planet will gain its strength, and then it will become capable of giving you results, right? So guys, this were my thoughts on Marana Karaka Sthana of different planets. So if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with another video. Thank you so much for watching.